What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you guys are having a fantastic start to your Friday morning. It is Friday, so thank God for that, as we're about to roll into the weekend, and we have a snowstorm that's about to roll into the weekend with us. As we're getting into the afternoon, evening hours, this is really going to start cranking up for a lot of folks, but really overnight tonight, into tomorrow morning, into tomorrow during the day for your Saturday, it's really going to crank up for a lot of the eastern U.S. We're talking severe weather also. There's going to be a nasty squall line that really starts to develop overnight tonight across portions of the southeast and last through your Saturday morning. We're going to talk about that towards the tail end of this video, because I tell you what, that is the most dangerous part of this storm. The severe weather of this is actually going to be its own thing, and it's going to be intense. So we're going to break that down too and give you the latest and greatest information on that. If you guys have not, excuse me, if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I appreciate y'all's amazing support. I really do. It's really appreciated. And I've not been able to answer the comments from yesterday's video, last night's video. I will get to that this morning. We got new data anyway, so I can probably answer your questions a little bit better than maybe if I did earlier this morning, as more data has continued to filter in. So obviously, if you guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over them, gives others an opportunity to do so too. And we can all look out for one another and glorify God doing it. So let's get rolling here, because there's a lot to discuss in kind of a short amount of time. Check it out. Winter storm warnings are in the pink. You got winter storm warnings up in counties in Mississippi and the entire, I wouldn't say the entire northern half of Alabama, but you have several counties in winter storm warnings. It's mid-March, folks. It's not January. It's even rare in January. Huntsville, Alabama, you got a winter storm warning. The entire eastern half of Tennessee, winter storm warnings, except these far counties in northeast Tennessee, which y'all will get upgraded to a winter storm warning, I think, also, but extends through eastern Kentucky, a large chunk of West Virginia, all the way up to Pennsylvania, portions of southeast Ohio, and then the interior northeast in general. All these other areas in the purple, that's winter weather advisories. It's snowing in Oklahoma City right now as of almost 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you even got winter weather advisories in northwest Georgia. I mentioned that last night. Things are trending better, and they've continued to trend better for folks in Georgia and northern Alabama. This is getting really close to Atlanta, to having a winter weather advisory for you guys. Just a couple counties to your northwest are under winter weather advisory. So it's trending that way. I want to mention, this is really for later tonight into overnight. Enhanced risk. I think there's going to be a round of maybe discrete storms that really just starts to develop in the Big Bend, Panhandle of Florida, and then southern areas of Georgia ahead of a main squall line. And that's why they have this enhanced risk up here for a 10% chance of a tornado at 25 miles in any given location. Big time wind threat with this also. 30% chance of wind damage, 25 miles in any given location in that red area. 15% risk extends all the way through Columbia. But this is going to be a big time severe weather threat, and most of it's going to occur overnight. This is going to be dangerous. So if you're in Atlanta, points south, especially well south of Atlanta, getting close to Columbus, down into southern sections of Georgia and the Panhandle of Florida, really need to pay attention to this. And then we get into tomorrow. And really, this is for tomorrow morning into early afternoon. Enhanced risk up. And this is a damaging wind threat driven enhanced risk for Charleston, Wilmington, North Carolina, Savannah, Georgia. This is because there's going to be a squall line associated with basically the tail of this system that's going to be bringing all this snow for, all these portions of the states back here in the colder sections. But this is going to be damaging wind. That's going to be a big threat. There is going to be a tornado threat also, that 5% risk associated with any of these. You could have a spin up in this squall line, but this is the damaging wind. It's basically going to be a squall line of damaging winds. It's going to be dangerous. It really is tomorrow morning. In fact, I'm probably going to be out and about chasing in the wee hours of the morning, trying to fish it out and just definitely get my first real storm chase on of the year, I think overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. But let's go on and talk about the winter weather side of this, and then we'll talk a little bit more on the severe weather side. As we're getting going here, this is the GFS, the latest one. We're going to look at the GFS, the Euro, and then the HRRR model, and then show you some snowfall accumulation. So stick with me, because I'm going to get to that here. But as we're getting going here, we're getting into this afternoon, Friday, March 11th. Snow. As the low pressure begins to intensify, it'll basically amplify more moisture into the system. Therefore, I think the moisture increases in Arkansas, but not really enough to make a all-out snowstorm. It's going to be some light to moderate snow, maybe heavy at times for almost the entire state of Arkansas, Little Rock, northern sections of Arkansas. This begins to move into Memphis around 6, 7, 8 p.m. your time, Central Standard Time. Begins to snow. It probably snows for anywhere from 6 to 10 hours. It really does, and I think it'll accumulate to maybe a few inches of snow. This is for overnight, about 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, give or take an hour. Low pressure starting to ride over North Georgia, intensifying as it does. Snow breaking out all the way from maybe a small portion of northern Louisiana all the way up through all these states into the interior sections of New York State. This is including Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, Kentucky, West Virginia, southeast Ohio, the entire basically southeast half of Ohio, areas like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the western half of Pennsylvania, and like anywhere in between, right? So we're getting into tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., 24 hours out from right now. Low pressure is a 990 millibar low. That is an intensifying system. Therefore, you have heavier precipitation, and you have that squall line down here, which I'm about to show you here in a second. But look at these heavier snow returns showing up on the GFS. That is very heavy snow in around Chattanooga, Tennessee, northwest Georgia. It's still snowing. It's snowing all the way in Birmingham, Alabama. Almost all models show snow all the way to Birmingham, Alabama. Maybe even Montgomery might get a brief change over to snow. So this has really trended more southeast and colder for areas more southeast and east in general as this low pressure. I mean, watch this trend over the last couple days. Watch this. Keep your eye on this low pressure. I'm going to back this up 6 runs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So watch how this axis of snow kind of shifts. It's very small ticks, but it's enough ticks to make a difference for areas further southeast. Bang, 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 bang. You notice how the axis of snow kind of shifts a little more southeast? That is because the track of this low pressure is basically adjusted to the European model, which has shown this the entire time. Therefore, you have heavy, heavy snow in eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, southeast Ohio, I would say 80% of Pennsylvania, interior New York State. And you keep going here in time. And now for those bigger cities like Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, as you're getting into your late morning tomorrow morning, early afternoon period, it has heavy rain changing to heavy wet snow. As far south as southeast Virginia, the Delmarva area, Delaware, New Jersey, you guys are switching to heavy snow now. It's getting to the point now where it's trending to maybe several hours of snow for Washington, D.C. Y'all might could get a few inches of snow. So it is trending more snowy for these bigger cities along the I-95 corridor. You're getting into Saturday evening, and you have just an all-out switch to all snow along these basically the coastal sections of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. So confidence is pretty much there now, likely that you guys are going to switch to snow. So let's go on and look at the Euro for the same thing. The Euro has stuck to its guns the last 3 or 4 days. It has been showing that more snowier solution for really anybody points more east. We'll stop it here. This is the overnight hours tonight. Just a band of heavy snow. You know, nothing's changed with this. For northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, it's starting to be a rain change into snow in northern Alabama. Heavy snow in Nashville, Tennessee in the middle of the night. Stretching through Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Nothing's changed with this. It really hasn't. You know, and maybe an area of really heavy snow in interior New York State overnight. We keep this going here. We get to the next time frame, getting to Saturday morning. And this is when the low pressure is really starting to intensify down here, when you can really have that squall line starting to move through the Carolinas and southeast Georgia. And look at this. I think you're going to switch to snow in Atlanta, Georgia. I really think it is. Are you going to accumulate snow? I don't know, but it's incredible to see how this has trended southeast. Normally it trends the other way with these kind of setups, but it has trended southeast. In fact, the entire winter has been the year of the southeast trend. You go back to the storm that I was getting all hyped about my specific location in South Carolina, and it trended southeast. Now it trended northwest at the last second to give us snow, but it's crazy. It's been the year of the southeast trend. It really has. But look at this. You stop this for Saturday morning. It is pouring snow in the plateau of Tennessee. Northern Alabama, still snowing in Mississippi. And look how close it is to Atlanta. Atlanta's right into here. But just northwest of town, it is absolutely unloading snow. Chattanooga, I think you get the biggest snow of your winter. It might be the biggest snow in the last few years, as you know, you guys have not had a really big storm. Knoxville, Tennessee, heavy snow. Gatlinburg, heavy snow. All the cities in between from north to south, heavy snow as you're waking up Saturday morning. It's going to be a beautiful snow too. It's going to be heavy, wet snow. It's going to be breezy, so power outages are going to be a thing. But this is a heavy axis, a band of snow setting up in West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, and just a big stripe of heavy snow all the way up and through the interior, mid-Atlantic, and northeast. It really is here. Keep this going through in time. This is when it gets really impressive also as you're getting into your middle of your day Saturday. Look at this band of heavy snow starting to show up. You now have rain changing the snow outside of the mountains in North Carolina. You even got blue showing up in South Carolina now. So I guess we're going to keep trending. I don't know. It's kind of a joke. I don't know how much more we can trend inside 24 hours, but it's really impressive to see. I'm starting to think maybe areas like Greensboro, North Carolina could maybe switch to some snow. Is it going to accumulate? I doubt it, but you never can say never in these situations. It might be a surprise sometime tomorrow morning. These Arctic fronts are going to be powerful. The temperature's going to be dropping in the middle of the day in the Carolinas, and it's going to be very interesting to really, truly, and see what happens here. But you got rain changing the snow for the Delmarva, New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania. I'm talking about Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City. You're switching to snow sometime late tomorrow morning into early afternoon. You're still raining because the Arctic front hits these areas that are further more west geographically than Boston. But as you're getting into your later afternoon hours and your evening hours, you're switching from heavy rain to maybe heavy, moderate to heavy snow in the entire New England area. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, including Boston, even the Cape Cod area, you're switching to snow. It's still snowing in the Delmarva. This is very interesting. You guys might achieve. This might just be a big system for everybody. This is really winter's last hurrah. It really is. This is a fascinating setup to me. Then we're getting into the overnight hours tomorrow night, and then it starts to wind down. But you look at the HRRR model, the latest one. What does it show? Shows a band of snow moving through this afternoon for Arkansas. This is going to drop a few inches of snow throughout the entire state of Arkansas, except maybe the furthest southern regions of Arkansas. It does have a chance, and I think it will switch to a brief period of snow for Dallas, maybe a couple hours of some snowflakes flying around early this afternoon. And then as you're getting into your 7-8 p.m. time frame, 6, maybe it might be snowing in Memphis as early as 5 or 6 p.m. A band of snow starts to develop, then it really begins to intensify, snowing like crazy the entire northern half of Mississippi. Seeing snow it's going to be snowing before midnight for the entire northern half of Mississippi. Just crazy to see. Northern Louisiana, you guys have a chance. Shreveport, I wouldn't be surprised if we get reports out of Shreveport, Louisiana of snow. Is it going to accumulate in northern Louisiana? I doubt it, but it really is fascinating. I know I keep saying that for me to, but for mid-March standards, this is one heck of a storm. Heavy band of snow. You guys might not even start out as rain in Nashville, Tennessee. It might just be all snow from the start to the beginning with Arctic air funneling in. And here comes that intensifying low pressure. Notice this number drops. It's because the low pressure is intensifying with the squall line moving through. But look at this heavy snow in the eastern Tennessee. It's the same thing. Same kind of setup as the GFS and the Euro. They're all kind of in agreeing now of what's going to happen to the south with this storm. They really are here. And the entire Appalachian Mountains, Virginia, Tennessee, even the North Carolina side. Watch out, Asheville. You guys might switch to some heavy, wet snow for several hours. It's really going to be interesting to see. But northern VA now, you guys are seeing snow. Washington, D.C., you guys could switch to heavy, paste-like snow to really wrap up this system. And it could dump 2 to 3 inches of snow in Washington, D.C., up to Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City. And then as the system's pulling out, some wraparound moisture is going to, all models are showing this now, is going to be lingering around for the Delmarva, maybe eastern Virginia, New Jersey, as we're getting into tomorrow afternoon. This storm amazes me. It really is. It's fascinating when you see these dynamic storms in March. It really is. So as far as snowfall accumulations, this is the National Weather Service. They're always going to be a tad bit conservative. You can't be mad at them. That's just how they go. They're not going to flip out over crazy model runs, but this is what they do normally inside 24 hours. They begin to adjust more. I wouldn't be surprised if they adjust maybe a little bit more, especially in northern Mississippi. I think northern Mississippi is going to see more than the National Weather Service is showing. I think there'll be widespread 1 to 3 inch totals in northern Mississippi. Northern Alabama, that's why you got the winter storm warnings up. You're going to get I think anywhere from 2 to 4, maybe 5 inches of snow in certain areas, especially as the plateau extends into northern Alabama and is part of it. But the plateau of Tennessee is going to get, somebody's going to get, and not just somebody, a lot of folks are going to see half a foot of snow, I think, from this system. Somebody's going to be in for surprise. I think that snowfall totals in eastern Kentucky are going to be more than this. You see the spine of the Appalachian Mountains is obviously going to be favored with those higher elevations pushing 4,000 to 5,000 feet. In the valley, you know, it gets 1 inch of snow for Chattanooga, but I think you guys could see more than that. We'll see. It's showing Atlanta some love here with a little bit of a dusting basically, but northwest Georgia seeing some snow. Arkansas, widespread 1 to 3 inch totals, I think, today. 1 to 2 inch probably is a better way to say it. But you get up here in eastern, southeast Ohio, you know, accumulating snow. But then you start to look at the GFS, right? And I like the idea of the GFS. It really bumps up the totals in general. But basically find where you are on the map, and you can tell in general how this has shifted. It wants to dump 2 to 3 inches on Memphis. And it really shows the idea better in northern Mississippi of how much snow could really fall. Now, I think the National Weather Service is basically in a nutshell saying, hey, this is probably not going to be a 10 to 1 ratio. The GFS shows 10 to 1 ratio. It definitely won't be at first. But certainly, I think the Valley sees their biggest snow of the year in mid-March of the winter so far. I really think it is. I think some areas are going to get hoodooed like you always do. But I think in general, you guys, it's not going to be a widespread kind of bust here. I really think there's going to be accumulating snow even in the valleys in Tennessee, but obviously eastern Kentucky, western West Virginia, and then southeast Ohio, like we've been saying for days, is favored here. But you look down here, look at this little stripe of snow into North Carolina. This is possible to happen. Accumulating, I don't know, but as far as snow, wraparound snow coming through southeast Virginia and northeast North Carolina, I think it's certainly possible. I really do. One thing that's really impressive to me is keep your eyes on this, and then I'm going to switch it to the GEFS ensembles for this morning. You see how it just shifted southeast? You see how it did that? Now, maybe in general, the totals aren't as high than the operational GFS, but you see that shift southeast, right? The ensemble is more southeast than the operational one. That's a red flag for us. That's what we watch for, right? That's why I think northern Alabama, portions of northwest Georgia, Chattanooga, Tennessee, I think they overachieve with this. Overachieve, what does that mean, Mitch? Well, I think that means certain areas could see widespread 2 to 4, 5 inches of snow. And you compare that with what the National Weather Service is showing for those areas, it's more. That I would consider that overachieving. One thing I'm watching for is northern VA. I mean, you guys are having an all-out winter storm. I really think you guys could get upgraded to a winter storm warning in these areas. And right now, you look right here in this area, you barely got winter weather advisories that are showing 4 to 5 inches of snow. So it's something to watch for sure here. Let me find back where I was. Here we go. So it's interesting to see. As far as the latest Euro, what does it show? Well, it's not as crazy, but this is an all-out snowstorm showing up for the Euro. And then, you know, let's go on and switch to the Northeast. I don't want to spend too much longer on that. The Northeast in general, basically the National Weather Service is saying, hey, this is going to be a substantial winter storm. But the National Weather Service does not like the idea of heavy accumulating snow for the I-95 corridor down here. It really doesn't. But one thing's for certain, and I'm sorry I haven't mentioned you guys interior New York State quite as much, Vermont, New Hampshire, but it's pretty much an automatic that y'all are going to have widespread. Y'all are going to have foot snowfall totals widespread throughout your regions. I mean, this is going to be a hard-hitting time frame. The one thing that's still a question is eastern PA. How much snow does places like Pittsburgh get? I really think y'all could see as much as half a foot of snow. I really think y'all could. We look at the GFS as far as this region goes. You notice the snowfall totals shift a little bit further east in general, but you're still not quite there in Boston where it's only showing maybe a half an inch of snow. But you know, you see all this snow. It's showing 2 to 3 inches of snow in Washington, D.C. This might be one of those storms with Washington, D.C. In fact, I think it will be. We'll see more snow than Boston. It's just the kind of the way the Arctic air is coming in from the east, and it's catching up with the moisture in these portions of basically of the northeast before it catches it up over here. And by the time it catches up with the moisture up here in New England, the moisture's kind of ran out. So it's not the fact that y'all are going to get warmer here. Y'all are warmer initially, which messes y'all up for the New England area. the southern New England area that won't snow. But in general, you see these totals on in here, and then you look at the GEFS mean. Now watch this. You see that shift southeast? It's the same thing for the northeast. So don't pay attention to the operational run. In fact, you really need to focus on the short range models. But you notice how much further southeast that just ticked. I'll do it again. You look at the GFS, see how it bumps up further northwest, and then you look at the ensembles, which is the better thing to look at, and you see the tick southeast. So this brings accumulating snow for Long Island, New York City, almost the entire state, well, the entire state of New Jersey. Washington, D.C. seeing 3 to 4 inches off this. It brings more snow into Connecticut and Massachusetts. And the entire state of Pittsburgh sees widespread 4 to 8 inches snowfall totals. And then look down here. You almost have an inch mean showing up in northeast North Carolina. This is really trending in these regions. The Delmarva area, northern VA, Maryland. This is really trending to an impactful event. I mean, it's just trending more of an event for so many more people. You know, it's crazy to see here. It really is. And then we look at something like, let's just look at the ensemble, the European ensemble mean. It's not quite aggressive with these totals, but I think it's wrong as far as it not showing not near as high totals. But you like the idea down here that more snow is more further southeast than maybe what the operation is showing. I want to look at the European for this region really fast, and you notice this is the opposite as the GFS in its ensembles. The European, as far as its operational run, is further southeast. Its ensemble run is actually further northwest, so it's kind of the opposite. But I like this. I like what it's showing here, and I think it's possible here. And I think that you're going to have widespread 3 to 6 inch totals along the I-95 corridor. In Washington, D.C., probably could see 1 to 3, as much as 4 inches of snow. Same deal for Baltimore, Philadelphia, kind of the same deal. New York City, maybe 1 to 3 inches. Boston, maybe 1 to 2. The further west you get in all those regions I just mentioned, the higher chance for more substantial snowfall totals. So let's talk about the severe weather threat and spending a little bit of time on this because it's important. And I hate that I'm 22 minutes in and I'm just mentioning it, but this is going to be a big deal when it's on. It's really going to crank up. For instance, this is for around 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is the latest long-range HRRR model. Low pressure, you see this, keep your eye on this. It begins to develop, it begins to strengthen. And then with it, you watch for these storms shooting out the Gulf right here and getting into the panhandle of Florida. These storms right into here, and you back it up here, there's going to be a little bit of action beforehand, but you watch these storms right here building into the warm sector ahead of this squall line that could really produce a tornado in this region right here. It's hard to pinpoint where these storms are going to happen, but as this begins to phase or congeal, as we're getting into about 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, a squall line will begin to develop. And I think the NAM shows it much better, and I'm about to show you the NAM. But this squall line will form, and along the squall line, I'm talking right when you're waking up tomorrow morning, if you're an early riser like I am, you're probably going to get waken up. You're probably going to get woke up by these storms. But there's going to be a chance for damaging wind as you're waking up tomorrow morning. That's because you have the enhanced risk, and then there's going to be a chance for a tornado. And look at the snow. Look how close the damaging wind threat is to the snow right here. I mean, that's only, 150, 200 miles. That's really crazy to see. It kind of reminds me of the system back in early January. In fact, this system really reminds me of it. But you have this line of storms extending from this low pressure all the way into Florida and getting out into the ocean now. But the NAM shows it well. The NAM's kind of scary. It builds these supercells, embedded supercells that are going to have, a lot of moisture. There's a lot of moisture content with this. You keep this going here. This is when that squall line really begins to develop. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning in central Georgia, central South Carolina, into the panhandle of Florida. And then it really begins to intensify for 7 a.m. I really think, South Carolina, far eastern, southeastern sections of Georgia, and then the coastal plains of North Carolina is going to see a nasty squall line for tomorrow morning. This is going to produce damaging winds, and let's pray it doesn't happen, but somebody's unfortunately probably going to be at the wrong place, and I think that this squall line is probably going to produce a tornado warning or two as the life of it expands into the later morning hours, and then cold air filters in, and then the rain's done. You might be dealing with a little bit lingering showers, but this squall line is going to be the main story tomorrow morning, along with obviously the snow falling. But it's going to be an active weather world tomorrow morning. It is. I'm probably going to be out in the field checking out this squall line and trying to keep people alert. But that's all I got, guys. I'll have y'all another big time update tonight, and then really after tonight, and really tonight, it's going to be cranking up already. But I'll have you a big update tonight, and then tomorrow, it's going to be a nowcast thing, and that'll probably be it. And then I think things calm down and get more typical March kind of weather where it begins to warm up. But God bless all y'all. Have a great Friday, and I'll talk to y'all this evening.